to discuss about hospital-acquired infections and hospital-based management. So first we'll start hospital-acquired infection. A definition of hospital-acquired infection is these are also called nosocomial infections and healthcare-associated infections. Nosos means disease. Nosocomial means relating to hospital. These infections are acquired during the hospital care, which are not present or incubating at admissions. These infections are not occurring before admission. After admissions of 48 hours, they usually considered as nosocomial. And also this nosocomial infection may also be considered either endemic or epidemic. Endemic infections are most common. The epidemic occurs during outbreak. Outbreak means unusual increase above the baseline of specific infection or infected organism. Their research study shows hospital-acquired infection is about 7 to 12% in developing countries. In India, is 25 to 40%. And this is the epidemiological triad of hospital-acquired infections. First is we ask host. Host is the patients, immunocompromised patients, and agent is transmission of pathogens between staff and patients and among patients. Then environment is presence of microorganism in hospital environment. Then next source of infection. There are two sources of infections, hospital-acquired infections. Is endogenous, also called direct, and exogenous, also called indirect. Endogenous caused by organisms that are present as part of normal flora of the patient. Exogenous caused by organisms acquired by exposure to hospital personnel, hospital environment, medical devices, or cross-infection from medical personnel. And also environment, these inanimate objects like air, dust, IV fluids, catheters, bedpans, endoscopes, ventilators, and respiratory equipments, water, disinfection, etc. Also, there are main three major sources of hospital-acquired infections. First is patients, second is staff, third is environment. First, we talk about patients. Patients, those who are suffering with viral infections, skin infections, respiratory infections, urinary tract infections, major source of the hospital-acquired infections. Viral source such as measles, germal measles, influenza, viral hepatitis, and skin infections are discharged. Those who are having with wounds, eczema, psoriasis, boils, bed sores, and respiratory is pulmonary tuberculosis, chest infections. Unit most common is E. coli. Again, staff. Staff has played major role for transmitting the hospital-acquired infections, like doctors, nurses, ward boys. Example, Staphylococcus most common, carried in the nose or skin. Hemolytic Streptococcus may be carried in the throat or salmonella in gut. Environmental such as dust, linen, bedclothes, furniture, sinks, basin, door handles. Then talk about mode of transmission. There are 5 types of mode of transmissions through contact, direct contact, and droplet infection, airborne infection, and release of hospital dust into air, various hospital procedures. Direct, we all of you know, it will transmitted directly from hands of this nurse or doctor to susceptible patient, and droplet through while coughing or sneezing through throat. Then various procedures like while we are doing hospital surgeries, intravenous procedures while doing catheterization and infected gut, and during dressings also we get hospital-acquired infections. So why do patients in the hospital acquire infection? Why we get the hospital-acquired infections in the hospital? Because patients with infectious diseases are frequently admitted to hospital. Some of these patients are able to spread their organism to other patients, and they provide one source of infection in the hospital patients admitted for other causes. When such patients require admission to hospital, their risk has to be assessed for other patients. Then appropriate measures have to be taken to contain the infection with isolation procedures varying degree of strictness depending on the infection. And also immunodeficiency play major role. Those are like patients at the extreme of age, patients with diabetes receiving immunosuppressive drugs, patients with cancer, in particular those undergoing chemotherapy. These are more prone for hospital-acquired infections, and also they will lead to threat for health personnel. And also antimicrobial resistance also cause hospital acquired infections like antimicrobial resistance is the ability of microbe to resist the effects of medication previously used to treat them. Then resistance by microbes are increasingly difficult to treat, require alternative medications or high dose which may be more costly or more toxic. This is the picture is showing mechanism of antimicrobial resistance. First, when we give antibiotics, higher number of bacteria, few of them are resistant to antibiotics. Then after that, the antibiotics kills the bacteria, but some good bacteria protect the our body. But the resistance bacteria now have preferred conditions to grow the takeover. Then bacteria can even transfer the drug resistance to other bacteria also. This creating the problem. There are then cause of the nosocomial infections. There are some bacterial, viral, and fungi. Bacterial, there are two types: gram-positive and gram-negative. Gram-positive more common for hospital-acquired infections that are Staphylococcus aureus, that is caused by 13%. Staphylococcus epidermidis, the gram-negative enterobacteria, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, Actinobacter baumannii, Mycobacterium and tuberculosis. And viruses, we all of you know bloodborne infections like hepatitis B virus and hepatitis C virus and human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, then fungi, Candida, Aspergillus. These are the most common nosocomial infections. First is urinary tract infection, then surgical wound infections, lower respiratory tract infections, then traumatic wounds and burns, primary bacterial anemia, gastrointestinal tract infections. First, we'll talk about surgical site infections. It comes from any purulent discharge or absence of spreading cellulitis at the surgical site during the mouth after the operation. The infections also occurred during the operation itself, either exogenous or endogenous. Exogenous is a medical equipment through and surgical other stuff. Endogenous flora of the skin or in the operation site or rarely from blood used in surgery. Urinary tract infections most common. 80% of cases occur during the inhaling of bladder catheters. While doing catheter insertion, we'll get the urinary tract infections. Then third most respiratory tract infections. Those who are having it cough and purulent sputum, new infiltrate on chest radiography consistent with infection, those having the hospital acquired infection. And next to vascular catheter infections like inflammation, lymphangitis, or purulent discharge at the insertion site of the catheter. Next, last septicemia, fever or rigors, and at least one positive blood culture. Next, we'll talk about the prevention control of hospital acquired infections. So first one is hand washing. Hand washing is cost effective and a very easy method. Why we get infections through hands, right? So first dealing patients with hand washing must be thrown. A suitable alcohol-based disinfectant must be employed for hand washing. And these are the routine hand washing techniques. Just look at it in the picture. Then this is hand hygiene techniques. First, we should use alcohol hand rub. Then when we do a routine hand wash for 10 to 15 seconds, then when we do dressing, like dressing procedures, aseptic procedures, we have to do hand wash for 1 minute. Then surgical hand wash means before doing any surgeries, minor or major surgeries, we have to wash hands for 3 minutes. And hand care is the most important plays main role. We should not we should remove the nails and we should cut the nails before surgery and any dressing, and we should remove the rings and should apply the hand creams. And those who are having cut and abrasions and those who are having skin problem should not be allowed for the treatment. And many almost 50% of doctors and nurses don't do a hand wash because of skin irritation, wearing gloves, too busy for regular hand washing, and lack of appropriate staff and inaccessible hand washing facilities. Second method is dust control. The dust comes from contains numerous bacteria and virus. The dust is released during sweeping, dusting, and bed making. This controlled by wet dusting and vacuum cleaner. Third is disinfection. Disinfection is the process where most microbes are removed from the defined object or surface except spores. There are three levels of disinfection. First, high-level disinfector, we used glutaraldehyde 2%, ethylene oxide. Intermediate level disinfection, we use alcohol and chlorine compounds, hydrogen peroxide. Third level is low-level disinfectant, we use benzoxamine and soaps, some soaps. And also disinfected patients' urine, feces, and sputum. And sterilization and instruments should be enforced. There are two methods of disinfections: physical methods and chemical methods. Physical method, boiling and pasteurization, UV radiation. Chemical is alcohol, aldehydes, halogens and phenols, surfactants, heavy metals, and dyes. There are some three guidelines for disinfection: critical instruments for and semi-critical instruments and non-critical instruments. Critical instruments, that are those penetrating skin or mucous membrane, should undergo sterilization before and after use. Some surgical examples, surgical instruments. When we use the surgical instrument, we have to sterilize it before and after. Then do semi-critical instruments, that are those in contact with intact mucous membrane without penetration. Like example, endotracheal tubes. With this have to disinfected before use and intermediate level disinfector after the use. The third is non-critical instruments, that are those in contacts only with contact skin, intact skin, and require only intermediate or low level disinfection before or after use. Example, ECG electrodes. The aim of sterilization is asepsis. Asepsis is the practice to reduce or eliminate contaminants such as bacteria, virus, fungi, parasites from entering the operation field surgery or medicine to prevent infection. Also, sterilization, also there are two methods: physical method and chemical method. Physical method, moist heat in autoclave, dry heat in ovens, and gamma radiation, filtration, and plasma sterilization. Chemical methods, ethylene oxide, glutaraldehyde. This all will talk in disinfection topic, but very shortly I'm producing here. Fourth step is isolation. When we have patients with hospital-acquired infection, we should kept in some separate room. That is isolation. Then hospital staff, those are suffering from skin diseases, sore throat, ear infections, diarrhea or dysentery, other infections, and should be kept away from the worker until completely cured. Sixth is nursing care. There are two types: the barrier nursing and task nursing. Barrier nursing means that the patient's hospital staff must act as barrier to prevent cross infection by wearing gloves, gowns, and masks extra. And task nursing means so we should keep the nurses in particular duties, particular wards, and particular intensive care units, organic wards, or neonatal center. And every hospital should be have a infection control committee. What is infection control committee? The hospital infection control committee is charged with the responsibility for the planning, evaluation of evidence-based practice, and implementation, prioritization, resources, allocation of the matters relating to infection control. The administration structure of the infection control committee. There is one chairperson, he is a medical superintendent, one member secretary, he is a microbiologist, and chief of the blood bank service, microbiologist, medical record officer, chief of nursing services, infection control system, invited members, chief of all supportive services like OT, kitchen, laundry, etc. What is the role of infection control team? They are educating training of hospital-acquired infections and development and dissemination of infection control policy, monitoring and audit hygiene, clinical audit. Role of the physician. Physicians have unique responsibility for the prevention and control of hospital infection through direct patient care using practices with the minimized infection by following appropriate practice of hygiene, hand washing, and isolation, protecting their own patients from other infected patients and from hospital staff who may be infected. Also, complying with the practices approved by the Infection Control Committee, obtaining appropriate microbiological specimens when an infection is present or suspected, notify cases of hospital-acquired infection to the team, as well as the admission of the infected patients. Also, role of the nursing staff. Implementation of patient care practices for infection control is the role of the nursing staff. The senior nursing administrator is responsible for participating in the infection control committee, promotion the development and improvement of nursing techniques, ongoing review aseptic nursing policies, and with approved by the infection control committee. This is the personal protection equipment, gloves, apron, and mask and face shield. When we handling with high risk patient, we have to wear this all. Next is safe handling and disposal of sharps. Main hazardous sharp injuries are hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV. So when we got injury, we have to ensure that sharps are not passed from hand to hand. Needles are not broken when before use. Sharps are disposed of at the point of use. Sharps containers are not filled more than 2/3. Staff are aware of inoculation injury policy. They, this is the main important thing. Follow needle stick injury protocol. What we do first when we get the injury, we have to wash our hands through running water, under running water, and do not suck and squeeze the injury site. Wash with soap and water. Apply antiseptic lotion to injury site. Contact emergency room medical officer for management. Complete the incident report and inform to infection control committee. This is a measure of prevention of infection. This table is mentioned in part textbook. Please go through it. I'm saying just Unitrac, which is not effective methods. Unitrac infection, when we use systemic antibiotics prophylaxis, is not effective. And surgical site infections of when we do fumigation, preoperative shaving, this is not effective for controlling surgical site infections. Then pneumonia, when we use changes of ventilator circuits every 48 to 7 hours, it won't be effective. And vascular device infections, when we use antimicrobial creams for skin preparation, it won't be effective. And next, get involved in hospital-acquired infections. Thank you. Our next class is there. Wait. Our next class, hospital waste management. Definition of biomedical waste. Waste generated in the diagnosis, treatment, and immunization of human beings or animals, or in the research activities pertaining thereto, or in the production or testing of the biological products. Biomedical waste means where we get from the hospitals and treatment center, research centers, we collect the waste that is called biomedical waste. And they are classified into two: non-hazardous waste and biohazardous waste. Non-hazardous waste 75 to 90%, biohazardous waste 10 to 25%. This non-hazardous waste will also be called domestic waste from admin or housekeeping or maintenance activities. And remaining this 10 to 25% healthcare waste is hazardous and may create the variety of health risks. Healthcare waste generation depends on waste management methods and type of healthcare, established specialty, reusable items, patient load. And in some countries like mid and low income countries, the healthcare waste generated is lower than high income countries. A recent survey in Bangalore, it is showing biomedical waste generates 40 tons per day, and also it's showing in government hospitals up to 4 kgs per bed per day, and private hospital up to 2 kg per bed per day, and nursing homes up to 1 kg bed per day. This healthcare waste generation based on categories and percentage. First, general healthcare waste is 80%, pathological infectious waste is 15%, shops 1%, infection, chemical and pharmacological waste 3%, special waste like radioactive, cytotoxic, pressurized containers, broken thermometers, and batteries, it produce 1% of biomedical waste. And the Ministry of Environment and Forest notification in 20th June 1998 providing biomedical waste rules. rules and regulation for management and prevention and handling. This application rules apply to all those persons who generates the biomedical waste, who collect the biomedical waste, and who receive and store the biomedical waste, who transport the biomedical waste, and who treat and dispose of biomedical waste, and also handle the biomedical waste. This in all this situation, the rules are applied. There are four schedules in the biomedical waste, but first schedule one, part one is important for you. That is biomedical wastes categories and their segregation, collection, treatment, processing, and disposal options. In biomedical waste, there are four color code bins are available. We are using in our hospitals like yellow bag and red bag and white bag and blue. The type of bag, yellow type of bag is non-chlorinated plastic bag, separate collection system leading to influent treatment system. For type of waste is human analytical waste and animal and anatomical waste, solid waste, expired or discard medicines, chemical waste, micro and bio waste, and other clinical lab waste, chemical liquid waste. For treatment, we are using incineration or plasma pyrolysis or deburning. In red bag, this is a type is non-chlorinated plastic bag or container. In this bag, we use it for contaminated waste like tubing bottles, intravenous tubes, and sets, catheters, urine bags, syringes, and gloves. We using treatment autoclave, micro oven, and hydroclave, and then sent for recycling, not sent to landfill. Then white is it's a puncture and leak transfer tamper-proof container. Waste shops including metals. We using treatment for auto or dry heat sterilization followed by shredding or mutilation or encapsulation. Blue bags is a cardboard boxes with blue color making. This is a type of glass waste we put in this blue bag. We use for disinfection auto or microclave or hydroclave or then sent for recycling. This table is important for your exams. Please note down. And so next is source of healthcare waste, where we get the healthcare waste in hospitals like private and government hospitals, nursing homes, physicians and dentist office and clinics, dispensaries, primary health centers, medical research and training establishments, mortuaries, blood banks and collection centers, animal houses and research organizations, vaccination centers and biotechnology institutes and production units. Classification of biomedical waste. This is classification based on the type of waste like infectious waste and pathological waste, shops, pharmaceutical waste, genotoxic waste, chemical waste, waste with high content of heavy metals, pressurized containers, radioactive waste. To talk about this is the categories. There are 10 categories for biomedical waste. This one also important for your exam. Category 1 contains human anatomical waste, that is human tissues, organs, body parts. Category 2 animal waste, that is animal tissues, organs, blood parts, carcasses, bleeding parts, and fluid, blood, and experimental animal use in research centers. And waste generated by veterinary hospitals, college, discharge from hospitals, animal houses. Is health hazardous, all in health hazards. These are exposed to all the healthcare potential at risk, including those who are generate, handle the same, or get exposed due to careless management. Who are at risk? Medical doctors, nurses, X-rays, maintenance persons, and patients, visitors. Workers in support services, laundry, waste handling, transportations. Workers in waste disposal facilities like landfills, incinerators, workers. Next, treatment and disposal of healthcare waste. First is various method incineration. Incineration means and chemical disinfection, wet and dry thermal treatment, microwave radiation, land disposal, inertization. Incineration, high temperature dry oxide process. So organic combustible waste is reduced in inorganic incombustible matter. Significant reduction in weight and volume. Require no pre-treatment provided. Certain types of waste are excluded. Characters of the waste suitable. There are two chambers in a incinerator. The single chamber we use temperatures 2000 kilocalories per kg and double chamber 3500 kilocalories per kg. Combustible matter 60% and non-combustible matter 5%. Non-combustible fines less than 20% and moisture content less than 30%. What types are not to be incinerated? Pressurized gas containers, large amount of reactive chemicals, IG salts and radiographic wastes, halogenated plastics, waste with high mercury and cadmium contents like in thermometers, batteries we use in thermometers and batteries, sealed and heavy metal containing ampoules. There are three types of incineration, double chamber pyrolytic type and single chamber type rotary kilns. Double chamber pyrolytic incinerator. We using temperature in this 3500 kilocalories per kg. Yeah, I already told. Advantages, this is very high efficacy, suitable for all types of waste. Disadvantage is incomplete destruction of cytotoxic chemicals, high investment and operating cost. Single chamber incinerator, we use 2000 kilocalories per kg temperature. Advantage is good disinfectant efficacy, drastic reduction in weight and volume, low investment cost, and disadvantage is emission of pollutants, periodic removal of sludge and soot. Rotary kilns, main advantage is suitable for all type of waste, suitable for genotoxic, heat resistant chemicals, and disadvantage is high investment operating cost. Chemical disinfection kills inactivates pathogens, disinfection or sterilization. More suitable for liquid waste like blood, urine, stools, and hospital sewage. Solids with microbiological cultures, shops may also be disinfected with limitations. Disadvantage of this one require highly qualified technicians, uses hazardous substance that require safety measures. Advantage is high efficient, some chemical disinfection are cheap. Wet and dry thermal treatment. Wet thermal treatment also causes steam disinfection, used in high temperature, high pressure steam, not suitable for anatomical waste, animal care cases, chemical and pharmaceutical waste. Advantages of this wet one, environmentally sound, low investment operating cost, and disadvantage subjected to frequent breakdowns and poor functioning, required qualified techniques. Screw fill technology, also called dry thermal treatment. Waste is shaded and heated in the rotating auger. Waste is reduced by 80% in volume, 20 to 35% in weight. It's suitable for infectious wastes and shops, not suitable for pathological, cytotoxic, and radioactive wastes. Microwave radiation, we use frequency for 2450 microhertz and wavelength is 12.24. Water content is rapidly heated and disinfection components are destroyed by heat conduction. Efficacy should be checked regularly by bacteriological and virological tests. Last one is land disposal. In the we use land disposal for incineration ash. So in municipality disposal, land disposal and municipal disposal sites. If the municipality of medical authority genuinely lacks the means to treat waste before disposal, the use of landfill has to be regarded as the acceptable method. There are two types: open dumps and sanitary landfills. But sanitary landfills have advantage over open dumps, because geological isolation from environment, appropriate engineering pre-operation, staff to control operations, organized deposits of wastes. Inertization involve mixing waste with cement and other substance before disposal. Minimize migration of toxins into surface or groundwater. A homogeneous mass is formed at cubes, pellets, and produced on site, then transported to suitable storage sites. A typical mixture contains 65% of pharmaceutical waste and 15% lime, 15% cement, 5% water. Transportation is most important in biomedical waste. Each healthcare facility should have the healthcare waste management plan, and also should collect points and route of waste transport. And each timetable also should be maintained. A table of frequency collection should also be set up. This is the bag they collect the biomedical waste. bag filled, it should be filled with 2/3 of capacity because leakage. And in bag also should be properly mentioned date of production, place of production, waste category. This is non practicing clothing. This is not a good practice. This is good practice method. This is a biohazard symbol and this is cytotoxic hazard symbol. Wait for a second, just I will show. Actually, this slide was missing. This is important slide. Please note down. Treatment of disposal. Category 1. Category 1, I told, which is human anatomical waste. We should treatment for incineration, deburnal. Category 2, animal waste. That is, we use treatment for incineration, deburnal. And category 3 is for shops. We use it for autoclaving, deburnal. In the category 4, microbiological and biomedical microbiologist and biochemistry waste from the biochemistry centers. We should we do treatment for chemical treatment, autoclaving, and mutilation shredding. This category 5 is incineration, and category 6 solid waste. We do treatment for incineration, autoclaving. Category 7 is so again solid waste. The user for disinfection by chemo and treatment, autoclaving. Category 8 is a liquid waste, disinfection of chemical method and disinfection into drains. And category 9 is waste takes from the incineration ash. It's a disposal municipal landfills. Then category 10 is chemical waste. That is, we use treatment for chemical treatment, discharge into drain for liquids and landfill for solids. Thank you. Please read these slides. I already told category 5 also discard medicine cytotoxic drugs. Category 6 solid waste and category 7 solid waste. This is solid waste is contaminated with blood and body fluids, including cotton, dressing, salt, plasters. This is disposal items, other shops such as tubing, catheters, and intravenous sets. Category is liquid waste, waste generated from laboratory and washing, cleaning, housekeeping, and disinfection activities. Category 9 incineration ash, and 10 chemical waste. This is important for your practicals. Symbols of biohazard symbol and cytotoxic symbol. Thank you.